Let's bring in the Organisation Undoing Tax Abuse CEO Wayne Duvenage, who joins us to expand on this topic. Wayne, a very good evening to you. Thank you for your time. The Zondo Commission has ended its work, but the enablers and beneficiaries of state capture have yet to face justice. I mean, as national, the Anti-Corruption Week is under the spotlight. What kind of messaging is important as we consider the dynamics here in South Africa?
Well, it's a crisis. We are in a serious crisis when it comes to organised crime, illicit trade, corruption that is rife. You would have thought after the Zondo Commission and the reports and the recommendations and the two Mamina speeches of new governments sweeping clean 5-6 years ago, that we would be a lot better off today, and we actually aren't. We're in a very, very precarious situation as far as our prosperity and our ability to grow this country, and that is purely because we are not taking corruption seriously. And if we don't start doing so, as Martha Ngoya said in the clip there at today's event, then we are just going to be on the back foot forever and a day. We're going to have to get used to the fact that crime and the costs of corruption are going to be a part of everyday living. And we don't want that. And we've got an opportunity to fight back. So we need to make our voices heard as citizens. We need to express our disgust at the fact that there are people sitting in Parliament, that are sitting in positions of power in government, that are implicated in that report and that are not being held accountable. As we've always said, transparency is the enemy of corruption. We need transparency. We need accountability. Otherwise, we have a tough road ahead for us.
Yeah, as you speak about people sitting in places of power, the politicians, we know that this state capture report names the people, the politicians and the businesses who looted 4 South African state entities and agencies. They are essentially the low-hanging fruit, right? I mean, cases which law enforcement agencies and regulators can urgently act on now, even as you and I speak. Why do you think the wheels of justice appear to be moving so slowly?
I think it's because, as I said earlier, we're not taking this crisis seriously at the highest level. So our message to the presidency is, you need to capacitate the NPA, the SIU, the public protector, SARS. SARS has a big role to play. They had very powerful departments before Tom Mayana came and decimated those entities within SARS that were looking after and looking into big crime issues. We need to rebuild that capacity. We're working in silos in these various law enforcement and criminal justice systems. We need to be putting systems in place to connect the dots, to get the information shared with the various criminal justice system entities so that we can start holding people to account. The NPA are not batting for them here. They are dealing with everyday crime, rape, fraud and corruption, and still have to catch up with the 10-year backlog. And yet we see the Minister of Finance and Treasury cutting their budgets every year. Why is that? We can't have that. We should be throwing... we've always said, and our estimates are, you put another R1 billion into the criminal justice system, but not just throwing money at the problem, putting in structures and the skills and the systems required, and you'll get a 10-fold return on that as an investment. You should see that as an investment in this country's future. So I don't think we're taking it seriously enough. The president is still not signed off on the national anti-corruption strategy that has been presented by the council. We really are just, I don't know what we have to do to get the presidency, to get people in positions of power to realize that this crisis needs to be treated like a crisis.
Yeah, and of course we have seen the impact of the crisis. Those who have, taken it upon themselves to ensure that corruption is exposed. The whistleblowers continue to bear the brunt of corruption. I mean, we speak about Babita Deokaran, who was murdered, and others who say their lives have essentially been put on hold because nobody's protecting them.
Yeah, Martha's one of those people who suffered as a result of this. But we deal with whistleblowers every day, and it is so sad to see how they are suspended or fired on trumped-up charges. They have no money to go and defend themselves in the labor courts. The whole process at the CCMA is too slow, and their livelihoods are impacted. Their lives are threatened, and it is quite disgusting that we are not taking care of whistleblowers and putting in place the protection mechanisms and laws to enable whistleblowing, because the more we get people to raise the flags inside these organizations, and there are hundreds of good people in the public sector just watching this happening, and they have no option but to keep their heads down and look away while this corruption is taking place. And it is rife at the moment. So there's a lot of work to do, but it's not difficult work. It just needs the resources, it needs the will, the political will from the top to deal with this matter, and with civil society, with business, and with good governance, we can turn this country around. But so many of our state-owned entities, so many of our entities inside the various departments, higher education is a cesspool of maladministration and corruption. I can tell you that now, and other departments. So we've got work to do, but it's not going to happen unless something happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. The organization Undoing Tax Abuse's CEO, Wayne Duvenage.